No, with time, hand signal.
I missed it, I guess. Sorry.
All right, so now we're recording, gang. I sent it out today to Maureen. If she might not have gotten it yet, but we're gonna do one quick review of the toe exercises that we worked on last week. And you were today all gonna be receiving the written out toe exercises. And then we're going to, so as we cover those again, we're gonna go up the leg and focus a little bit more on the knee today. So for those of you that maybe weren't on at the beginning, later on, you are going to need either a pillow, a rolled up towel, or, you know, a partially deflated ball of some sort, if that's what you got, because we're gonna use that today. Okay, but we're gonna end up talking a little bit about some knee issues, knee arthritis, pain in the knees, things like that. Okay, so that's today's focus. Okay. So, gang, we're gonna start seated. And actually, because this is still a pulmonary focus class, I know these education sessions, we work on the whole body, but let's just cover some of our breathing exercises. Let's get ourselves set the stage for maintaining our breath the whole class. So today, let's put one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest, and I'm gonna get you to breathe in through the nose. We're going to work to fill up our belly first. So the hand on the belly will move, and then we'll fill up the chest. So the hand on the chest moves. So it looks like this. Breathe in through the belly, and then the chest. And then breathing out belly, breathe out chest. Okay, breathe in through the belly, breathe in through the chest, and breathe out through the belly, breathe out through the chest. And again, breathe in, belly, chest, breathe out, belly, chest. Two more, breathe in, belly, chest, breathe out, belly, and chest. Last one, breathe in, and out. So that kind of breathing, gang, is really helpful for starting to learn the difference between a belly breath and a chest breath. What often happens, especially in COPD, as our chest becomes tighter and it becomes harder to take in that deeper breath, we tend to default to a chest breath. So if I ask you to take in a deep breath and your automatic thought is, right, the shoulders come up, the chest comes forward, that tends to also just tighten up your neck and shoulders. And that's more of the type of breath we take when our sympathetic nervous system is in charge. So it's not as relaxing, it's actually getting us prepped up, ready to go, and it's not a deep breath. So it can be really, really important and helpful for you all, especially with your oxygen numbers, to learn to take that belly breath and to learn that pattern of, okay, I can breathe in through my belly and I can breathe in through my chest and get that kind of 1-2 pattern going. Okay, so I encourage you guys to practice that on your own. Now, oh, you guys can't see, could you see my feet? My video is so small on mine.
Yeah. You got your shoes on.
Okay, I do have my shoes on. I will quickly take them off actually to show you. We're gonna review our toe exercises. The first toe exercise is just pressing our toes into the ground. So it's like I'm gripping the ground with my toes. If you don't need to take your shoes off, but it can be helpful to see what your toes are doing. Hopefully you've been practicing, but you can keep your shoes on if you'd like. So just gripping that ground with your toes. And remember, as part of that pattern of developing strength and stability from our foot up the chain, we also want to engage our glutes. So as we press our toes into the ground, can we tighten up those glutes? Just like you're trying to crush a walnut between your bum cheeks and then relax. So those toes crunch into the ground, your glutes tighten up, and then you relax. Okay, now this is the second class. We're doing a little review of this. Other things you might notice is you might feel that tension in the back of your calf area, maybe at the front of your shins, because we actually have a lot of muscles in the front and back of our lower leg that have long tendons that attach down into our feet and toes. So while there's little muscles down there, a lot of the muscles that move your foot and move your toes are actually located a little bit higher up. So we're just going to do 2 more of this, gang. Pressing those toes in the ground, clenching those glutes. Once more. All right, and relax. Remember, if you kind of need to tap your feet out, that's great. Now that second toe exercise we covered is we're lifting up just the big toes. So trying to keep all your toes down and just lift up the big ones. Again, engaging those glutes helps provide stability. And when there's stability, our body is actually able to move better. So lifting up just that big toe.
Mary, I'm just starting my exercise now. You can call
And-
back in 3/4 of an hour. Okay, bye.
Just a reminder, gang, if you get a phone call or someone comes in the room, just quickly put yourselves on mute. There we go. So let's do 3 more here, gang, lifting up just that big toe, engaging those glutes. I know there's lots of things to focus on, but let's also pay a bit of attention. Are we maintaining a steady breathing pattern? You guys are becoming great movers, but also great thinkers from these classes. And relax. So again, if you need to kind of shake those feet out in between, if they get a little bit tight, that's okay. Now, that third one we covered is all the toes are up. Remember, you can do 1 foot at a time instead of both, because it's easier to focus on just one at a time. Now we're just pressing the big toes down and then lift them back up. So all the toes are up, press down, just the big toes and up. And again, engaging those glutes provides stability. It actually is a bit easier to get those toes moving. Maintain that breathing pattern. Even though it's really easy to hold your breath when you're concentrating, that's not what we want. It can be helpful actually to get into the pattern of breathing out as you push that big toe down, right? If we stack the movements up.
Do you engage the glutes when the toe goes down or up?
Down. Yeah, great question. So
Okay.
looking to engage, or you can just lightly engage the glutes throughout the whole movement and keep them engaged. If they get tired, then just engage them as you press the big toes down, and then you can relax them as they come up. So either way is okay. All right, shake those out, gang. Now that fourth one we covered is lifting up the heels. So we keep our press through your toes to bring the heels up and then slowly bring them down. Remember, you can do these exercises seated or standing. If you feel like you need an in-between for this specific exercise, an in-between of sitting and standing, you're not quite confident standing up, or it's a little bit too much, but sitting feels a bit too easy, feel free to take your hands and just gently put a bit of pressure on your knees. So then there's a little bit of weight that your feet are trying to push up. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Yeah, see some nodding heads. Perfect. And once again, we're looking to engage those glutes as we press through our toes to lift up our heel. And remember, the reasoning for that is it's working with that pattern of when you take a step and you go to push off your foot, that push off the big toe sends that signal up to get that glute to engage to push off into your next step. Okay. All right, let's do one more. Engage those glutes, lift those heels up. and then down. Awesome. Now, we did a 5th exercise where we had our toe or our feet a little bit extended in front of us. And we were looking to flatten our feet to the ground. So you're getting that little bit of a stretch down the front of your shins, but then we're looking to pull those toes back up. So now we're working that muscle at the shin, which is, remember, called your tibialis anterior. So we pull those toes up, keeping the heels on the ground, and then press our feet flat. And remember, the standing option for this exercise would be just to get your back against a wall with your feet slightly in front of you. And then same thing, we're just lifting up those toes and the ball of our foot, keeping the heels down. You just lower and lift from there, okay? So this one, you want to hold at that top. Pull those toes up, 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 hold, and down, and then up, hold, and down. Good. Okay, gang. Now, the last thing we worked on with those feet is we talked about that mobility of the ankle. So we've worked on the ankle moves in 4 directions, right? You point your toes, you pull them up, but then we also have those side to side movements where you can pull your foot in and you can press it out. So just to keep it brief today, let's get both feet just slightly extended in front of us, pull them in slightly, toes are up, and let's pull those feet in towards each other. Try to get your big toes to touch. And then you're pushing those feet apart. And remember, as we get those feet to move or those ankles to move, keep an eye on those knees. Don't cheat with your knees. Force just the feet to work. And go slow. And remember, especially when moving slow, if you push too hard, there is always a chance you could get a muscle cramp. So if things feel tight, that's kind of your sign to, okay, that's my range. If you push past that tightness, that's where your muscle can cramp up because it's not used to that. So just keep an eye on how you're doing. Feel for that slight bit of tightness, and that tells you kind of where to stop for now. There we go. Let's do just 2 more, pulling in. You might notice actually you get more movement in that joint after a couple close to the end, which is great. And rest there. Now, how do those ankles and feet feel, gang?
Fine.
Good.
Perfect. Good, good, good.
The calves or something.
There we go. So remember last week, for those that were able to make it, or if you watched the recording, but a review is we talked about how that's the strong feet create a strong base, right? Your feet are the first part of your body to contact the ground. So when we talk about being strong and stable, either just standing, when we're walking, turning, we want that strong foundation, okay? So those builds up to actually better balance. So unless you cannot stand, I want everyone to stand up. And if you're gonna stay seated, that's okay. I just encourage you either to sit on a rolled up towel to add that little bit of instability. But whether you're seated or standing, and if you are standing, balance support is right there. I'm gonna get you to do actually one thing first. Your feet are a little bit apart. Now, push your toes in the ground, engage those glutes, even if just a little bit, doesn't have to be maximum. And now I want you to look down. So bring your chin, oops, you can't see my head. We still haven't figured out a way to get my toes and my head in the picture, hey? While standing up. So think about, okay, toes are in the ground, glutes are engaged. I'm going to bring my chin down to my chest. And then slowly, slowly all the way up. And just go to where your limit is, especially if you've got any arthritis in that neck or it's stiff, but nice and slow down. Now, normally what happens when we get our head moving is it kind of throws us off balance. But as that head moves, I want you focused on, okay, my toes are gripping the ground, my glutes are engaged. And if moving just the head feels fairly easy, feel free to get your arms moving. So you can lift your arms up as you lift your head up and down. That will make it more challenging. Now, if you find yourself kind of rocking, that touch wobbly, that's okay. There's a difference between your body shifting and kind of that shifting is kind of your body getting information from where it is in space. So our body uses our eyes for balance to give us a reference point of, okay, I'm here, that object is there, so I'm good where I am. That's where if we, you might have heard someone say, oh, stare at an unmoving spot to help you keep your balance. That's because that gives a stable reference point to your brain to help you balance. So as soon as we get our head moving, our eyes moving, that balance is harder. And that slight shifting in your feet and your ankles, that can actually just be your body's way of gathering that reference point from the feel of where your foot is contacting the ground. You just don't want to feel like you're going to fall over. There's a difference between feeling that little bit of movement and feeling wobbly, right? So last one.
I
Awesome.
have a question, Jill.
Yes.
If I look down, I cannot see my feet because of my stomach. Should I bend down?
Nope, that's okay. Yeah, don't worry. Well, you can bend down a little bit. Just be aware that that's even harder on your balance. So as soon as our hips go back and we bend, that can actually be more of a challenge to our balance, which can be a good thing to practice. But don't feel like you have to bend over. You don't have to see your toes. That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, gang, now what we're going to do, again, if that felt challenging enough, well, then just stay feet side by side. If that felt fairly confident, then you can try either standing heel to toe, like you're standing on a tightrope. Now, remember, the more in line those 2 feet are, like standing on one straight line with both feet, the tougher the balance is going to be. So you can get your feet slightly staggered apart. The wider apart they are, the more balance we have. Okay, so find that challenging yet doable range. And now from there, grip the ground with your toes, engage those glutes, turn your head to the side, just a little ways, and back. Oh, that's tough, gang. Try to do just 5. Keep up that breathing pattern. Keep those toes gripping the ground. Keep those glutes engaged. And switch which foot is in front. And now we're just going to turn our head to the other side. Keep up that steady breathing pattern. And rest. Well done, everybody. So sitting down. So what I want you to take away from that is 2 key things. well, 3 key things, sorry. So the first 2 key things is that 2 easy ways to affect your balance is 1, a wider stance is more stable than a narrower stance. Okay, so if you're in a position where you feel a bit off balance, and even if you feel pretty off balance when walking, try getting your feet a little bit further apart. And tightening your glutes creates stable hips to help improve your balance. So again, we talked last week about working on just kind of pushing off the big toe. And when we say push off, it doesn't mean come up. It actually means just grab the ground with your foot and pull it back behind you. And that's going to help you engage your glutes when you're walking. And if you're in a spot where you get a little bit off balance, quick, tighten those glutes, and that'll help you stay stable. Okay. And then the third thing I want you to take away is that movement of your head and eyes can affect your balance, which is okay. But be aware if you're out somewhere and you're walking and someone calls your name, that quick turn of the head to see who it is, that can cause a little bit of unbalance. Right? So as long as you're aware, okay, turning my head puts me off balance, well, now maybe I need to open up my foot too, so that the stance is a bit wider and I'm stable. Does that make sense to everybody?
Good idea.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, who here has got cranky knees or has ever had a cranky knee? Yeah, I knew there was quite a lot of you, and for a variety of reasons, right? Maybe you've had a knee replacement or any other knee surgery in the past. You know, I've had this ACL surgically repaired once and then retore it a couple years later. That's what sports sometimes does to you. Maybe you have arthritis. Maybe you have some just pain in the front of the knee, or it kind of gets sore. You're not always sure why. Boy, am I here to help you today. So while seated, I want you to straighten that leg in front of you. So my heel is touching the ground. Now, just let me know, gang, if the camera angle isn't quite right, because I make my screen so that I can see all of you, which means I'm not paying attention to what my video looks like. So can you see?
You can't see your feet right now.
Can't see your feet.
Okay.
Can't see your feet.
I'll adjust it slightly. Because it's not important that you see my toes, but I do want you to kind of get a better picture of what's going on. Now, I've got my one leg straight. My heel is touching the ground still. Okay. Now, take your hands. I want you to put one hand just above your kneecap towards the inside, so towards your body's midline. Your other hand is going to go on the outside of your thigh, but a little bit higher up. So there's that bit of a stagger. Now, just like when someone asks you to make a muscle with your arm and you flex your biceps, we're going to flex your quad. That's this big thigh muscle, your quadriceps. Squeeze that muscle, tighten it up. And relax. Oh boy, tighten it up. Now, what you might be feeling is you might feel that muscle kind of even just a little bit push your fingertips away. And what I want you feeling is that it's a little bit firm under both hands.
Yeah.
What sometimes happens is that the hand on the outside will feel firm, but the hand on the inside doesn't. And if that's happening, you might be going, well, what's going on? Why is it firm and flex, but not here? Well, sometimes that has to do with that neuromuscular connection. Just like when it was really tough to lift up one toe because the brain hadn't built that connection yet. Sometimes that one quad muscle doesn't have this as strong of a connection as the outside one. So you've got to just focus hard and really try to clench that muscle, hold, and then relax. And just like with those pesky toe exercises, it will get easier after a couple. Now, gang, can everyone feel that thigh muscle tighten up, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So I'm going to give you an option to make it a bit more challenging. So if you feel like you can get both parts of that quad flexed and tight, then what I want you to do, and just be careful if you got any pain in your lower back today with what we're about to do next. Just don't lift up your leg very high. I want you to clench that quad and then lift up your leg. It can even be just that little bit and down. Now, the tricky part to that exercise is keeping that quad muscle tight as you lift and lower the leg. Okay, so try it with me. Tighten, lift, down, relax. You'll notice I'm not lifting my leg way up here. That's just going to get your hip involved. I just want that quad to do the work. So again, tighten up, lift just that little bit, down, relax.
So if you can't flex that muscle, you just got to keep practicing.
That's right.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you're not quite getting the full flex, then I just really want you focused on trying to flex it. And even when you think you've flexed it as hard as you can, flex just a little bit harder and then relax.
Yeah, I can't make mine move.
Are we switching legs yet or no?
No,
Do we keep the knee stiff or soft?
you can keep it stiff. Yep, so when we're working that quadricep muscle, that thigh muscle, its job is to straighten your leg. So it will be easier with a more stiff knee. Is anyone feeling any pain from that?
No.
No.
Yeah, perfect. Well, other than that quad muscle getting a little bit tired or a little bit sore because it's working hard, that's for sure. All right, we're gonna do one more. Perfect, and now switch. That's fun, gang. And now that other leg. So again, you can set up that one hand is just above the kneecap towards the inside of the leg, and that other hand is more on the outside of the leg and just a little bit higher up the thigh. Clench tight and then relax. Clench tight and relax. Again, if that's feeling pretty good and feel that both parts of the thigh flexing, then you can add that extra challenge of flexing the leg, lift up slightly while keeping it firm the whole time and down. So flex and lift and down. Did anyone start with a little bit of pain or soreness in their knees that has now disappeared?
No.
No, no pain.
There we go. No,
Found
no
out why.
pain, no pain from the exercise.
I found out why I wasn't moving the muscle because my butt was too far on the chair.
Oh, there you go. You were too high up.
Yeah.
Too far back. Yep,
Yeah.
there you go. Good problem solving.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Is this
And I didn't think of it.
is this a good exercise? Sometimes going upstairs, I'll get a pang or pain in my right knee. Is that good for that?
Yeah, well, do you get it kind of right at the bottom of the kneecap?
Just right behind the cap.
Right behind the cap?
Yeah.
Yep, so that can help. Does it feel like it catches?
Well, it feels like if I don't back off, it'll collapse on me type of thing, right?
Gotcha. Yep, then this one can often help with that. And I've also got another thing I'm showing all of you after this too, that'll help.
Awesome.
Not the next thing after this, but the thing after. Just
I
to
like
make
these
it
things
confusing.
after.
That's right. Remember, we're becoming good movers and good thinkers. You have to be a good thinker to always pay attention and understand what I'm trying to say. Because the thoughts aren't always linear. They're sometimes a little bit like this.
Oh, good girl.
Now, rest that leg. Now, do those quad muscles feel a bit tired?
They feel good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and tired can be in a good way. They feel good. That's awesome. Now,
the calves feel tired.
yes, and they will from all those toe exercises, because like I said, those muscles are also located in that same area where it feels like our calf, but it's actually your calf's engaging to stabilize, but it's also those toe mover muscles that have fancy names like your flexor hallucis longus and your extensor hallucis longus. Just fancy names. Okay, gang. Oh, you know what? I accidentally put my towel away. So now you need that rolled up towel or pillow or ball. I'm so sorry. I thought I had brought my note, but I guess I put it away. So we're going to take that towel. So this is again working on those glutes. And this is going to help strengthen around the knee. So when you look at we talked about how the foot has 4 directions that it moves. If you put all 4 of them together, your ankle will rotate. Your knee mostly just is a hinge joint, so it mostly just bends and extends. There's a little bit of rotation at your knee, but it's coming from your fibula bone or your tibia enacting. So it's not really you don't really classify as a movement. Your knee mostly just moves up and down. So what that means is we want to strengthen all around the knee. So we just strengthened. So think of it as a box of stability around the knee. We just strengthened the top of the box, those quad muscles, right? We've been strengthening the glutes, activating the glutes, which are kind of runs down and creates stability down the outside of that box. This next exercise, we're going to strengthen that inside of the box. So some of you might have known that as your groin muscles or your inner thighs. The medical term or the physiology term are called your adductors. And they're responsible for some of this side to side stability. So take your towel or pillow. It's going to go right between your knees. Now, this is a 2-part movement because when we talk about wanting to stabilize the knee and the hips, we often need muscles working together. So the first thing, and you guys are getting really good at this, is we're going to engage the glutes, crush that walnut. And then the second thing, once you've done that, is you're going to squeeze your knees together. So try to squish that pillow or towel and then relax. Now, I should have said this first. Don't go too hard to start. It's just a gradual squeeze. Because if you go all out, all right away, things can cramp and get a bit unhappy because they're not used to it. So start off slow. So engage the glutes. Squeeze those knees together. And relax. Engage your glutes. Squeeze the knees together. And relax. Engage the glutes. Squeeze the knees together. And relax. Now, you might also feel a little bit of tightening kind of in your abdomen or kind of right below the belly button or right between your 2 hip bones. That's a great thing. That's your core engaging. Might be feeling a little bit of your pelvic floor engaging there. All muscles that attach around the hips to stabilize. That's a really good thing. Okay. Engage the glutes. Squeeze your knees together. Hold. And relax. Has anyone noticed that their toes are gripping a little bit too?
Yes.
Yeah, some of you. Awesome. That's super, super great. Because again, those toes, getting our toes working are so important for helping us engage our glutes. And we're gonna do 4 more of these, gang. So glutes, squeeze. I know you might not get off the toilet seat tomorrow morning. We got 2 more. Glutes,
Just stay there and do
squeeze.
your foot exercises.
There you go. Solutions. I like it. Last one. Glutes, squeeze the knees, and relax. Whoo! Now, did everyone feel that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
I know. And I know what you're thinking. How could I not have felt that?
That's
Oh
right.
my goodness.
You don't
So
really
that's-
use those muscles, right?
No, no, you don't. But they are super important for balancing, especially on one foot. So if you guys look, and you're welcome to balance along with me right now if you want to, but your choice. If you look at, if we are to stand on one leg, we have to be stable forward and back, right? Because we can lose our balance coming forward, and we can lose our balance going back. But especially on one foot, even more important is actually that either to the outside or to the inside. So if we start strengthening those sides, what we call lateral stability, and lateral just means to the side. If we get that strong, well, now there's stability on all 4 sides. We don't have a weak point. Versus, and this is super common, even in my young female soccer players, because especially younger females tend to have underdeveloped stability on the inside and on the outside. So that side to side stability is usually more affected. But as soon as we lose our stability here, right, or we go to the side where we don't have a leg to stand on, it's kind of like chopping a leg off of a table and having it topple towards that side, right? This is where we're most unstable. And so saying that, again, that's kind of showing you why it's so important to strengthen that part of our leg.
Yeah.
Because now it's strong and it's preventing us from collapsing to this side or to this side. Okay.
Well, that's why I fall on the bed when I'm putting my pants on in the morning.
Yes, very true. Because to put your pants on, you're usually on one leg, or to put
Yep.
on socks sometimes. And next time you do that, I want you thinking about, okay, I'm going to put my leg through the pant leg. I got to engage my toes and engage my glute.
Right.
Now,
That's what I want you thinking of.
Okay.
Jill,
Yes.
I suffer very badly from cramps, especially on that inner thigh muscle. Would repeating this exercise for me help to relieve the dreadful cramps I get at night in my inner thigh?
So cramps at nighttime. The thing I'm actually going to be showing you guys quite soon here will help with that. And then you also probably want to talk to your doctor about either taking, if you're either a little bit low on magnesium or calcium. Yeah, because when we're low on those, that can also cause muscle cramps as well.
But I do notice when I do hefty exercises, I do not get the bad cramps at night. I call them killer
Perfect.
cramps.
Perfect. That's awesome. That's really, really good.
Thank you.
Now, dream team. You might have noticed, or you might not have, because you're just trying to make it to 2 o'clock. There is one side of the box we haven't worked yet.
The back.
The back.
The back. And this back of your leg, it's called your hamstring. Speaking of cramps, that's, I'll just sit so you can see my face. That's a common one to cramp up.
Yeah.
And the reasoning for that too is because we spend so much time in this seated position that muscle, which is responsible for bending your knee, and it helps us push off and extend the hip. That muscle gets tight because it stays in this shortened position when we spend a lot of time sitting. And it's a muscle that doesn't get worked often enough. Okay, so I'm going to give you two things. And one of them is if you've got a sore back today, then I want you just to adjust for it. I'm going to turn sideways. I'm going to move this up slightly again because now my feet don't matter. Okay, get your hands on your hips or across your chest. And if across your chest makes you feel a bit breathless, definitely put your hands on your hips. Now, I've got a just soft bend to my knees. That just means I'm not keeping them locked, but I'm also not actively bending them. They're just a little bit spongy, okay? Take your hips. Now, imagination caps on. I want you to pretend you're holding this heavy box and you've got to try to close this door behind you. So we're going to close it with our bum. Okay, so we've got a door behind us. You got to push your bum back. And you might feel that bit of a stretch down the back of your legs.
Yep.
And now I want you to think about all the things you've been working on. Engaging those toes, engaging those glutes, and pull yourself back up. And you should feel that from glute down. Now, if bending over made you feel breathless, or it was sore on your back, I'm going to show you how to do this a bit differently. If that felt great, then I want you to practice a couple of those. Push your hips back, pull yourself up, and you should feel it from glutes and then down the back of the leg. And that alternative is, again, hold on to that balance support. I'll step forward. And I want you to engage the glute to pull your leg back behind you, slight bend to the knee, and then relax. So engage and pull it back and relax. And again, if you need to stay seated, well, then just get that leg slightly in front of you, engage your glute and slide that heel back, and you should feel that back of your leg tense up. And then you can just step forward again. So engage the glute, pull that heel back, and then reset. Engage the glute to pull that heel back, and then reset. So this is the seated option.
Makes a big difference if you really dig those toes in.
It does. And I'm so happy to hear you say that you've noticed that. That's fantastic. Because again, engaging those toes, that first contact with the ground, creates stability all the way up the chain. And when we talk about the chain, we just mean all your muscles are connected. So we create stability at the bottom and it builds stability up. And when we have stability, it's easier to move. Our body feels safer moving. Now, you can relax there, shake out those legs a little bit. How does everyone feel from that? I'm just going to come a little bit closer, see everyone's faces.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. That was
Awesome.
really grip.
Yeah, and that's really awesome. So that means you guys have been practicing. It means that your body's connecting the movements, which is perfect. Now, one more thing I'm going to ask you to grab if you have one at home. And it's if you have a rolling pin or a small ball, a tennis ball, maybe a lacrosse ball, maybe you have a dog toy, that works too. Eileen's got hers nice and close. Well done there, miss. I love it. So grab your rolling pin if you've got one.
Dryer ball, that works.
Yeah, there you go. You know, you can always use just the heel of your hand as well. If you don't have those things. There you go. Yeah, pickleball, maybe a stainless steel water bottle. So a couple of you asked about kind of that pain at the front of your knees, a little bit of cramping. I'm going to show you how to give yourself a little bit of a kind of a massaging the muscle using just something easy at home. We get our rolling pins from the dollar store. They work great and they're super cheap. Now, I'm going to get you treating your thigh muscle like a good bunch of pizza dough. Okay, super important though. Everyone take their hand and I want you to feel where your kneecap is. And just gently, so I know where my kneecap is, I can feel where the top of it is. It is super important that you don't roll your kneecap. You could cause it to move and that's no fun. As long as you stay just above it, you're going to be just fine. Okay, so just be aware of what you're doing when you're rolling. Now, I've straightened my right leg slightly, and that just helps the muscle relax a little bit. I'm going to take the roller, or I'm going to take the heel of my hand or the ball, and I'm going to push down and roll towards my knee. I'm going to stop right before that kneecap, and then I'm going to pull it back up. Rolling down and up. Now, there should be enough pressure that it feels a little bit tender in a relieving way. It should not feel incredibly sore. The tighter a muscle is, the more likely it is to feel sore. We're just going to roll up and down about 10 times, just to keep it a bit brief today. There we go. Now, take that leg and you're going to turn it outward slightly. Or even if that feels uncomfortable, you can just turn the roller. So now we're working more of those adductors, a little bit more of that inner thigh. And this is usually a spot that gets people, especially if you've got some knee pain. It's a muscle that really tightens up. And muscles that are too tight don't function as well. So they're not as good at working hard to keep us stable and working hard to do what they're meant to do. So remember, sometimes they bend, sometimes they straighten the knee, depending on what muscle it is. So keeping a muscle a little bit looser helps it function better. Is that sore on anyone?
No.
No.
It was sore yesterday, Clancy. For you.
It's more on my shoulder.
Hard on the shoulder?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that you're holding your elbows up and pushing?
No?
No, because you can try just pulling those elbows in and just kind of pushing down with the flat of your hand. But the more your shoulders come up and you really try to push, more pressure might put on those shoulders. Now we're going to take that roller and bring it on the outside of your leg.
It's burning right underneath,
Underneath what?
on the bottom of your thigh.
Your hamstring is burning?
Yeah, back there. Yeah.
Are you rolling it, or have you just
Right.
noticed that it is burning on its own right now?
It's burning on its own is what I noticed. The rest feels good.
Okay, but you weren't rolling it, Clancy?
No, I was not.
Okay. Are you straightening it?
I had trouble straightening my leg.
Yeah, because it might
I
be
have to
super,
lean
super
that way
tight.
back to have it straight. So-
Yeah, so just pull that leg in a little bit more, Clancy, and see if that takes some of that burning out.
Okay.
I'm gonna switch legs, gang. We're just working on that quad muscle, that thigh muscle to start.
Do we roll it on the bottom?
I haven't gotten there yet, but yes.
Okay, thanks.
Focusing on the quad to start.
Right.
It's a good question. How's this feeling, everybody?
Lumpy.
It's good. Yeah.
Lumpy.
I got skinny lumpy leg.
Yeah, a little
My
bit
thigh
lumpy
is
can be,
lumpy.
it can be fairly normal. That's all
Feels very
good.
Certainly warming up the muscle.
Always too old.
That's muscle, that's not fat.
And get more of that inside of the leg, team.
It feels good with that tennis ball.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. It should feel nice doing this. It shouldn't feel, occasionally it feels like nothing. People got really kind of good muscle, like muscles that aren't very tense. And some people just don't, their bodies just don't really respond to stuff like this. Like some people don't even like being massaged. It just doesn't really do anything for them, doesn't feel good. But lots of people feel really good from this kind of stuff, right? That bit of massage, it gets the blood flowing, helps reduce how sensitive your muscle feels, so that and reducing that sensitivity and that tension helps it function better. Let's roll the outside of the leg.
It's certainly warming the muscles up.
Yeah, it feels a little bit warmer. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, perfect.
I was afraid of the rolling pin, you know, I used a 1 liter bottle instead, but I quite like the rolling pin actually.
Oh, good. Were you
Hmm.
worried it would be a little invasive or a little too intense?
Too heavy, yes.
Oh, too heavy to hold. Yeah, for sure.
I have some circulatory things. And then I seem to have developed plaque. I can't imagine how. It wasn't the
Gotcha.
chocolate.
All
it-
right, gang. Yes, Rick?
Is this the same idea as rolling on those, like those pool noodles?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, those foam rollers, those bigger
Yeah.
ones that people usually kind of get down on the ground to use.
Yeah,
I like the rolling pin because it makes the benefits of that more accessible. Right? Not everyone can get down onto the ground and hold up their body weight and roll their body along this
yeah,
foam
that's
roller.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, but this does have very similar benefits. Yeah,
Gotcha.
you got it, Rick. So guys, we can roll the underneath of your thigh now, those hamstrings. Sometimes it's a bit tougher to get the benefit here for a variety of reasons. One, that hamstring muscle, there's 3 of them, and it can be hard to get enough pressure to actually massage them out, especially since we're just pulling up on the roller rather than pushing down.
Yeah.
So don't worry too much if it doesn't quite feel like anything compared to the top of your thigh. If they're not feeling, if they're not,
the knee.
yeah, so don't roll directly behind the knee, guys. That's super, super important. So just like we didn't want to roll the kneecap, you don't want to roll right at the back of the knee. You've got a lot of blood vessels and nerves that run back there. So just stay just right above it. And you can tell when you bend your knee, that little crease, just avoid that crease area.
Is that the popliteal area?
That is, you've got it.
Jill,
You got your popliteal muscle back there too.
you see this roller that I use for my cramps at night?
Oh, there you go. Nice, Ivy. That looks great.
It works on the big hamstring muscle in the back.
Yeah, that would be fantastic because it's a smaller surface area.
Yeah.
Did we roll the other hamstring, guys?
What is it like?
I did.
She was showing
Yeah,
me,
good.
Jill.
She was showing, she's got a specific roller. It's got a couple different little balls next to each other. So those smaller surface area on the hamstring often works a bit better
Oh,
on that back of the thigh. Yeah.
Where'd you buy that?
And at a sports store.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
And I also saw them down in Bellingham in a clothing store in there, strangely enough. That's where I
Oh,
picked
neat. That's really cool.
My
Now-
husband did this one.
Oh,
Time is it?
perfect. So gang, we're almost done. I just want to be respectful of your time. So super quickly, it's also helpful to roll your calf muscles out. If bending over either makes you feel breathless or that's just not quite doable for your mobility, you're welcome to prop your foot up on another chair or a low bench. Right, so then you can get it here and gently roll that out. Again, avoiding that back of the knee crease. And the other thing, and I'll let you try the calf on your own, just because of time. But the last thing I want you to do, or actually maybe not because you're all wearing shoes. Yeah, the last part of you that you can try rolling is the bottom of your foot.
oh.
So just putting that rolling pin or ball, you can use a water bottle, and being careful, but just gently roll the bottom of your foot back and forth. That can relieve some tension in those muscles.
Yeah.
It can help stimulate the sensory nerves.
You
So
can buy a
especially if
foot
you've-
roller.
Yeah, you can buy a specific foot roller for sure.
Works great when you're
Um,
sitting on the toilet.
There you go. There you go.
Too much information.
Digging your toes in helps you get off the toilet all right.
And I'm just gonna switch feet. We built up some tension by doing our foot exercises, so rolling it back out can be helpful. And rolling can also actually help stimulate the nerves, gang. So can be helpful if you've got some neuropathy. Just making sure that if you don't have the feeling in your legs necessarily to tell you how much pressure you're putting on, just to be a little bit more gentle, just to be cautious, okay? Especially with the bottom of your feet.
Yeah.
All right, team. How is everybody feeling?
Great.
Wonderful.
Good.
Great.
Thank you.
Perfect. So I encourage you to try the rolling. Those you are receiving those foot exercises today, and we'll add on those other couple to work on the knee.
What is it?
And thank you for coming to class today. It was super, super
Yeah.
lovely to see you all.
See you tomorrow.
Good job.